Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to highlight this morning a piece of legislation I tend to co-sponsor that's brought by my good colleague John Joyce from Pennsylvania. It's known as the Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchases Act. The bill aims to prevent the U.S. EPA from issuing Clean Air Act waivers that would enable state-level bans or restrictions on gas and diesel vehicles. This ensures that Americans can select the vehicles based on their individual needs and financial situations without undue government interference. My home state of California, once again, leading on the wrong things. The agency called the California Air Resources Board is intending to ban the sale of gas and diesel-powered cars, trucks, and SUVs by 2035, only 10 model years from now. Now, who the heck is CARB, especially since this has far-reaching effects across the rest of the country? There's 6 or 7 other states that are seeking to emulate what CARB is doing. This regulation seeks to force a transition to electric vehicles regardless of the affordability, their availability, or practicality for many residents and families. The Biden administration, EPA, has granted the necessary waiver very recently at the end of this era, allowing CARB to enforce this mandate at the state of California level, which sets a precedent that could lead to similar bans in other states across the country. And believe me, it will happen. Several other states are already looking at this. What do you end up with? The manufacturers having to produce 2 different types of vehicles for this state or for that state, making them more expensive, and heaven knows the difficulty it is producing electric vehicles anyway. Rural Americans, rural Californians, face long commutes and rely heavily on reliable, affordable vehicles. I represent a very rural area. There's people that are afraid to take the electric vehicles very far with an inability to know if they can charge and make it back. The mandate poses significant financial challenges as EVs remain more expensive than their gas and diesel-powered counterparts. They have more expensive tires, they're harder to get parts for, etc. A very, very limited charging infrastructure. We see the billions the Biden administration has put aside for charging stations and only built about 7 or 8 in the whole country over the last 3 years, shows that it's very impractical. EVs are an unviable option for many. The mandate would not only increase the cost of living for individuals and families, but reduce transportation options for many rural residents and even urban residents that maybe have a car that's already paid for that they would soon see they wouldn't have the ability. As also part of the mandate is quietly eliminating fueling stations, making fuel more expensive, making fuel harder to produce. In my home state of California, in the country, when they banned the pipeline coming from Canada, it makes fuel harder to get. So it's coming from all edges. You can tax people out of this is part of their goal. Of course, my home state, California's power grid, is already struggling to deliver electricity to meet existing energy demands with currently frequent blackouts and energy shortages. We have these blackouts in my part of the state, and we're starting to see them in Southern California with the unfortunate massive suffering going on due to the wildfires, that they have to preemptively shut off the power to particular areas if they think the wind is going to blow too hard and cause foliage to blow off of trees, shrubs, whatever, into the power lines and cause an outage, a blackout, etc., and therefore a fire along with it, as has happened many times in my district. So if we mandate this shift to electric vehicles, would place additional strain on the grid, leading to more outages and much higher energy costs. California has not demonstrated the capacity to expand the grid infrastructure. Indeed, they're tearing down dams in my district, and they got their eye on more that make clean, CO2-free hydroelectric power. So the grid gets even tighter due to this. This raises serious concerns about the feasibility at all of this mandate, yet they force it forward. The practicality of converting to all these electric vehicles, as well as the appliances that California and others and Biden is trying to do with electric stoves and water heaters and all that, means where are the materials, where are the minerals going to come from to produce these electric appliances and vehicles? We can't mine as it is. It takes 29 years in only case to build a copper mine in this country. We're going to import it all. We're going to have Poor kids in other countries and slave labor in other countries continue to supply us so we can be pristine. CARB's members are not actually directly accountable to the public. Air Resources Board is appointed by the governor. They don't have to answer to anybody, and they frequently don't. So we have a direct threat to consumer choice. Indeed, this is what Governor Newsom wants us to have, is fires that burn out our vehicles. We need to have him stand aside, let President Trump lead the way on allowing us to have our vehicles.
The gentleman's time has